Okay, guys, hello and welcome to E3 Roundtable, where we discuss the events of E3 as I play Unfitting Portal.
Yeah, we thought we would go through E3 now that it's over with. Kind of a surprising year for E3, so we might as well give our input on what we thought was looking good.
Yeah, no, wow, this Portal map's actually really great. Like this E3, so it's a good
Yeah,
segue into,
what a great segue.
yeah. uh,
Yeah, so first we're going to talk about the big three, of course, and we'll also talk about PC a little bit, although I don't think PC had a very huge showing at the C3. And then
mhm.
we'll talk about some of the games that we thought looked good that might have been a little bit off the beaten path and mix them in with some of the upcoming super mega blockbuster hits. So,
Magnum
uh,
blockbuster hits.
what do you think we should start with?
Well, I think what we should start with is the giant fucking elephant sitting on a couch that is fucking Microsoft.
Yeah, all right, we can start with Microsoft, I guess.
I'm
Yeah, they sure got their asses kicked.
Yeah, it was a fairly embarrassing display from our friends Microsoft. They've had kind of a rough time in terms of gaming because they came out with the new operating system that kind of ate dicks, uh, and nobody seemed to like. And then they come out with the console, and it seems like they're just going fucking ass backwards into the worst place. I have just beaten this map. Yeah,
Wow,
sure. Yeah, I just
right,
walked.
video over.
Yeah. Okay, so what are your thoughts on Microsoft's kind of bungle with used games and kind of their online strategy and their seemingly just negative attitude towards the customer base that they have. Their hardcore fans seem to be left in the lurch. Uh, at least to me, as a somewhat outside observer.
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty funny because I think what Microsoft was trying to do, and there'd been a lot of indication that PlayStation was going to do the same thing heading up to E3, was that they were kind of trying to push the gaming market more into the new games market, away from like GameStop's like cornering of the used games, stuff like that, and try to put in a lot of these like more DRM centered, like I don't know, you call them like devices and stuff,
Hmm.
which I think it's really funny to me that Microsoft's getting like the brunt of the blame on this one because I mean EA for example has been doing like a lot to like push the DRM part of the video game market forward, and Sony was going to too until this E3, which is why it was such a big surprise for them.
Hmm.
So I kind of feel like Microsoft didn't do the worst job in the world, but they also weren't able to predict that everything was going to blow up in their face. In that respect, they did a pretty bad job. Um, I think I think it's good though because I mean, if Sony had just been like, we're going to do the same thing as Microsoft, and there won't be any more used game, you have to pay for them, and there'll be all this stuff, then I
Yeah.
mean, it wouldn't have been like the console market would have had any other choice except to go along with it. So it's good of Sony to kind of push back against the movement. I don't know if it was in their best interest though, because I feel like they're probably even though gamers aren't going to be like Xbox sucks now. I bet a lot of game development companies are like, we probably want to go with Xbox to PS4. You know?
Yeah. Well, I understand that, but don't you think that a lot of game developers are going to kind of be, up shit creek in the situation that like just no a lot of people won't buy the Xbox now because of their policies. It's a
Yeah,
real
it'll be
like
interesting to see.
the buyer's market kind of situation where it's settled with the consumer's dollar. And I mean, I'm definitely not the rattling a saber or anything at this cause or nonsense like that, but it seems to me like it's the problem is kind of sorting itself out in the situation here where like people don't like the idea of always online. They don't like the idea of not being able to do their used games, or at least not to be able to do their used games at like a rational price. It's rather than paying an additional fucking $40. on top of a $10 used game charge.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see if the Xbox 360 does, or sorry, the Xbox One does tank in the market, the Xbone. I think it probably will actually do all right because we're kind of coming from like this like enlightened place where we just got done reading like a fucking billion Tumblr posts about how the Xbox One sucks, but I bet that the general market probably still has a lot of Xbox like loyal fan base. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who don't like read IGN and Kotaku every day who are like, I'm gonna buy the Xbox One, of course, dude. Xbox is the best company ever, or whatever. So
and then they high five and fucking crush a beer
exactly.
can.
I mean, I don't want to make a caricature of people who play Xbox all the time, but I'm sure there's plenty of them who are like, it doesn't matter to them at all, But I mean, to us, it's a big issue. I bet to most like the like casual gaming fan base or like the non like nerd reads video game news websites every day. I bet they don't care quite as much as we do about that.
I'm gonna actually throw out a counter argument to that, and this is the first time I've ever heard so much talk about a game or a console in any situation before, because now we've gotten to this point where like I not only hear like my friends at work talking about this, but I'm hearing like folks who are not involved or don't play games, and they're like, well, that sounds stupid, why would you do that? And it's kind of weird, to be honest, that this is that I'm hearing so much talk about it, even from non-gamers. So I mean, it could go either way, I feel.
Yeah.
I definitely am not crazy enough to think that this is the end of Microsoft or any horseshit like that, but it's definitely enough to, I feel, give them pause and make them, I mean, at this point they can't reconsider. They're kind of, beholden to this idea, but
I don't think it would be the craziest thing in the world if Microsoft just suddenly dropped their used game policy, especially because they're getting a pretty sizable backlash in the media, so it wouldn't be completely insane to me to see them be like, we are reconsidering our used game policy.
Yeah. You remember that? It was just a joke.
Yeah. I think they also have some pretty interesting Xbox-only titles that I think might drive Xbox to sell a little bit more than we would think, especially... I mean, I think nobody's underestimating how much people fucking love Halo for some reason, but they did reveal Halo 5 at E3, so I think that's going to be a big draw to it. They also somehow secured Dead Rising 3 to be Xbox only, and I really like Dead Rising, so that gave me some pause when I saw that. But yeah.
That's a fairly solid, wordy description of Xbox's situation.
Yeah, other than that, I actually kind of feel like PS3, besides owning them in like the console market, also had a lot cooler exclusives, it looks like to me. I mean, a lot of it was like a bunch of shooter games that I couldn't care less about, but there were some. I think that PS3 had a lot more creative looking games to me than Xbox did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, I can't really name too many Xbox exclusives that had my eye. I mean, it's been a long time since I've ever considered myself to be a Nintendo fan, like, of any sort. Not just like a fanboy, but just overall a fan of Nintendo, because, like, it is the same fucking 10 games that get released every console. They're really good games, but it's still the same 10 games.
Yeah.
But I feel maybe we should move on to the Nintendo statement here before we get to PlayStation.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
That, Nintendo really has a stellar lineup from everything I've seen. Like, there hasn't been a single Nintendo game that I haven't been like, yeah, I'd like to play that. I mean, even games like, I'm not a huge fan of, say, Bayonetta. Bayonetta is coming out.
Bayonetta 2, if nobody knows, this is going to be exclusive to Wii U for some unknown reason.
Yeah, some ridiculous and crazy reason.
I would have guessed that the Bayonetta team would have been like, I wonder who's going to ask us to be exclusive to them this year, and everyone was like, anybody but Wii U.
Yeah, who would have thought?
Yeah, that'll be weird. But yeah, I agree with you. Nintendo has always been the strongest first-party company for games. I think that their consoles have been kind of shitty lately, and of course they're always going to be the undisputed emperors of handhelds. So I don't ever have to worry about there not being a billion fucking games for 3DS that are good. So
yeah.
But yeah, we should talk about. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting, looking back from when the PS3, the Xbox 360, and the Wii were all kind of coming out at the same time I think that was a couple E3s ago, and how everyone was kind of focused on which of these three companies is going to be the best one on the market, and compared to today where it's kind of Sony versus Xbox, and then Nintendo just has its own market to itself kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting to see how the console war has changed over the last 4 or 5 years.
It's a tough thing to say, but I mean, with such a strong first-party lineup, and again, such a crazy backlash against Microsoft, and you also got to go with the price point. The Wii U is actually so cheap comparatively, and it follows kind of the long-standing Nintendo tradition for the past couple consoles of having a really cheap as fuck console. I'm wondering if that's going to play right into their hands.
I think Nintendo has cornered their own market. They don't have to worry about how much pressure Sony or Microsoft put on them ever, because Wii U has pretty strong sales right now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I could probably look this up, and we might be completely wrong, or you might be fucking dying in the water. But as far as I know, the Wii and the Wii U have not only sold really well, they've opened up new markets. They're the Wii is the go-to gaming console if you're under 12 years old. Nobody fucking has a PS3 or an Xbox 360 if they're that age. Everybody just goes straight to the Wii, so that's millions of dollars on its own right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have a Wii U, and I probably will never get one. Maybe if it gets cheap as the Wii has been lately, because I got a Wii and it was only $50, which is pretty crazy. So if it ever gets that cheap, I might. But nothing really excited me too much about it. Especially its initial lineup was really bad, and I think even at this E3 they were saying, well, we still haven't released the games that we said we would yet, but they're coming within the next year or something like that. As opposed to Xbox and Sony, both were they're both when our console releases, it's going to have all of these great games on it already, so you don't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit of Nintendo's weakness, is that they just have a really big reliance on their first-party games coming out, which takes them a long time to make because they're only one company.
Yeah, it's true. Should we talk a little bit about the big dog in town right now, Sony?
Yeah, let's talk about Sony.
Holy shit. The pot shots that they're taking at Microsoft, they're just clubbing this poor dead horse.
Yeah. I really like that somebody did this tweet that I'm not sure if it's true or not, but supposedly they were the ones that developed the technology that Microsoft's going to use to put the DRM on all their games, and they didn't even use it themselves, and so they pretty much sold Sony its own death certificate, or Microsoft its own death certificate. But yeah, Sony's doing great right now. They're on top of the world. They have a lot of great looking games coming out for their system too, which is crazy.
Throw out some.
Their last console didn't have any games.
Yeah, no, it's still. I mean, I have a PS4, and I've picked up Tales of Graces, the Ratchet and Clank series. Becky's got Assassin's Creed. And I had Black Ops for a little bit until I came to my senses and traded that shit in.
Yeah. And don't forget all the One Piece games.
Yeah, and I did purchase One Piece.
Which is good,
which is a really good game.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, we might as well get into some games since we're talking about Sony and they're the ones with all the games right now.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Nintendo, obviously, but we'll talk about Nintendo later. But yeah, what were some of the games you saw coming out that were exciting?
I guess, I mean, I'm a little bit of a sucker for the first party. Oh god, I drowned. I'm a little bit of a sucker for the first party Nintendo games. Like, that's really what has gotten me interested. But to not beat on the same horse for the rest of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the one game that I'm super pumped for that's not first party Nintendo classic fucking Mario game, and it's Watch Dogs.
Ah, yes, Watch Dogs. Who is developing Watch Dogs? Let's take a look at that real
Ubisoft,
quick.
I thought.
Oh, is it Ubi?
I don't really remember. I think I saw Ubisoft.
I will look that up right now while you talk about how much you like this game.
The animations, the graphics are nice, and the animations are nice, but holy shit, the idea, just the idea and the premise alone, and the fact that let's take a second to talk about the multiplayer in that game. The fact that you can jump in to somebody's game and then kind of either troll them or help them, depending on how you feel like, is just such a weird and innovative thing to do. I can't even begin to talk about how cool it is for me to be watching some other poor schmuck try and make it through this level, and I see him struggling, and I have the ability to turn off all the lights in the city and fuck over the cops, or I just bring up a road barrier while he's trying to flee and flip his car. I mean, it's definitely a fun idea. I don't know how well it's gonna work.
I know. I think it's a great idea because they're probably the first company that's ever realized that half the people that join you on drop-in online game on consoles are just there to fuck you over. So they might as well just make the game balanced around that. Very very clever idea.
Was it Ubisoft?
It is Ubisoft. I was surprised.
Rick's memory.
I have this weird image of Ubisoft in my mind because I don't know. I guess I haven't. They've been making a lot of good games lately, but back in the day when Ubisoft was a PS2 developer, they made nothing but the shittiest games ever. So I'm surprised. I guess they've come up in the world since way back then. Nothing but Tom Clancy games is what I remember about Ubisoft.
Oh yeah, Rainbow Six. My dad loved it.
Yeah. So yeah, good going Ubisoft. Yeah, that game looks really good. Really good graphics too. The interface looks amazing.
It looks so polished. And yeah. I just can't. I just sat there for half an hour watching him club some poor schmuck to death with his collapsible baton, and the animation is just so fluid and mesmerizing that it's just such a wonderful thing. I'm not even playing the game because I just keep picturing smacking him in the face repeatedly with a collapsible baton. It's really well done, and I think the folks at Ubisoft really deserve some praise for being so strong out of nowhere. It's how the fuck, what happened, Ubisoft? I guess I misunderstood you all these years.
Yeah, pretty much. We should talk about, I think it's kind of funny to talk about how Nintendo's such a strong first-party developer, and I think Sony usually kind of sucks at it. I'm pretty sure their first-party game for PS4 is going to be Killzone.
Oh.
And Killzone fucking sucks.
Yeah, no, Killzone's not a really good game.
Yeah, they're the worst.
I mean, when you think about it, what other first-party games does Sony have? I can't name a single one. I wouldn't have even been able to pull Killzone.
Yeah, actually a lot of their first-party games have been kind of dropping off. They used to have Crash Bandicoot way back in the day, Ape Escapes, Hooper, but they haven't made any of those games in a long time. Mm-hmm. I'm looking right now at their wiki page, and it looks like the things that they're known for right now are Little Big Planet series, Killzone, and some MotorStorm, which I've never played, so I don't really care about that. They do own Naughty Dog though, so
yeah, Naughty Dog is hardcore.
That's it. Uncharted is their big. That's their number one.
It's their bread and butter.
Yeah, so they're pretty generally weak. Uncharted's undisputably one of the most liked PlayStation games of the last couple of years, so I don't want to sell that down. They have a ton of cool IPs that they just don't do anything with. They're the people who own Dead Cloud, They own Ico, or Eco, however you want to say it. So they own the company that makes Eco and Shadow of the Colossus. And I guess that game that they're developing right now just got put into hiatus, which is a huge shame. One of the other big games that I think that they own the franchise for, but they use a third-party developer for, is Infamous. It's been getting a lot of hype.
Mm-hmm.
And that game actually did look pretty good to me, although it was kind of like, I thought like this E3 was kind of the year of the first-person shooter and the GTA open city clone. But
yeah,
those games are usually pretty good, so I'm not going to like jump on it like this. Make some better games, Sony. But and I guess they also own the rights to Demon Souls, which is you don't like it, but a lot of people like that, and they're making Demon Souls 2 for PS3 and PS4 at the same time for some reason.
Was that the game that Scro was really into?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was an awful game. It wasn't very good at all. What is Scro thinking? I'll never understand that boy.
He just likes really hard games.
He's got a screw loose.
Yeah. We should probably talk about Microsoft had some other first-party games. I think Microsoft actually had a lot of its games that it was going to release for Xbox One were first-party, weren't they?
I mean, to be dead honest, I can't really say. Microsoft's another one. Maybe it's because Nintendo's so good at first-party games because it's all they do. But yeah. I just can't really name many of the first-party games besides the obvious, like Halo. And every EA game now, apparently.
Yeah, what else did I can try to think of what Xbox owns the rights to. I might have to look this up while we talk about something else.
Smash Bros. Brawl, man. What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
well, new Smash Bros. Brawl. Whatever.
Yeah, Super Smash Brothers Brawl. Or whatever.
Magnum Brothers 56.
I'm excited for it. I think it's kind of be weird that they're releasing it for 3DS and Wii U at the same time. I didn't think that the 3DS version looked that good, to be honest.
No, it's nice to have the option, but I'm afraid that they're gonna dumb down the game for the Wii U just so like everything can be transferred cleanly from the 3DS. Because Sakurai did mention that that no character that's in the 3DS version or the Wii U version will not be in the other one. Like, they're all going to have the same roster. And he did even mention, like, hey, we have limitations because of the 3DS. So I don't feel like that's solid or cool, even remotely.
Yeah, that's too bad. I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm really excited about Villager being a playable character, because I fucking love Animal Crossing.
That game, I mean, I never got into it as hardcore as, like, you or Krem did, but holy shit, that guy looks so overpowered.
Yeah, he does. He's got some crazy moves going on. We'll just leave it at that, I guess. But what do you think about the other two characters that got released, though?
Who saw that Wii Fit girl coming? Like,
I like to say, who saw that coming and who ever wanted that to happen? Like, what fan of Nintendo was like, yeah, I guess Mega Man's cool, but what about some characters from the Wii's, like, mini games?
Yeah, like,
fuck out of here.
Sakurai's just like, I have the strangest boner for this Wii Fit girl.
I think she looks like she's gonna be funny to use, though. Like, a lot of her moves are kind of crack me up to watch. So I didn't think they made the right choice in the end. It's a weird choice, though. And I also like the thought of a lot of people on Tumblr have been doing a lot of things where they try to figure out what kind of joke she's going to make in the middle of combat. And I really like the one where she's like, "Your ideal heart rate is 0."
Yeah.
And apparently she gives away like fitness tips in the middle of the fights and stuff. So that sounds pretty funny to me. I think it's funny that they're being kind of coy with like, oh, we're just going to reveal that we have the original 8 or like some maybe 1 or 2 characters from Brawl in there, and then like pretend that we're not going to add in all the characters we already had. Like they're going to cut down the roster in any way. Like, come on, Nintendo, we all know you're just going to add 3 more characters and release the Brawl with updated graphics. But other than that,
Becky keeps saying that they better add in Mewtwo.
They're never going to add Mewtwo again. They're gonna take out whatever that weird fox was and add in Mew 3.
Yeah.
with his
Oh God, that
beer can opening head.
beer can too.
Yeah, they'll add some stupid new Pokemon that is just like not relevant. But oh, did you watch the video for when he was talking about like how he updated some of the Sakurai updated the looks of some of the characters?
No.
There was a particularly funny part where he's all, we've updated the looks of Samus from her classic Super Metroid looks to her looks from Other M. And I was like, nobody liked Other M, Sakurai. don't use that costume. You can use any other costume except for the one from Other M.
Sakurai's a troll. Haven't we all learned this from the Brawl?
He's
really?
pretty much the ultimate troll for like the one fan base that will persist through all time and space. He's like, I'm going to do my best to make sure that they're not represented at all in this game. And he did this. He also said he's going to update Pit's costume to be from the one from the, I guess, the game that just got released that featured him. I don't know. I'm not a huge Kid Icarus fan, so but I guess they updated that too. And I was just like, man, people like Nintendo because it's classic, not because they're constantly updating the costumes. So we'll see. I'm sure I hope they, at least, I'm not sure, they never do anything that their fans want them to do, but I hope they make the single-player game of it a lot better than Subspace Emissary was. Yeah, that's exactly. That's the reaction of everybody who's ever played Subspace Emissary. So, it was so bad.
Yeah, a vague collection of maps.
Yeah, so maybe they'll do something better with that, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what they say. What are your thoughts, Rick?
Subspace Emissary was just the worst fucking thing ever. I'm fine if they just bring back the series of levels from Melee.
I like this better. They should just like sit somebody down to take notes on what they did right in Melee and just like try to recreate that in this new one, because Melee did not do much wrong.
Melee was really good. Now, what are your thoughts on them taking out tripping? And
that's fine with me. I don't think tripping really mattered that much in the other games either. So, and I think his intention is try and make it a little bit more balanced. But I mean, that's like trying to teach a cat to bark. So there's no way that any of the Smash Bros. Games are going to be any semblance of balance. So. I mean, it's good for him to try, but he's just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. I mean, I've been around before. Yeah. What other Nintendo games that are first party are you psyched about?
Did you see the HD remake of Wind Waker?
Yeah, that looks so good. I'm really excited for that.
They got rid of the fucking stupid Triforce fucking bullshit. Remember that?
Did they? I haven't heard that.
Yeah, Sakurai's just like, yeah, we know.
4 hours that it took you to find the fucking 27 pieces of the Triforce.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not Sakurai. The gent who designed the first one, they have, like, the main director of the first Wind Waker, the non-HD one. He's basically, yeah, that was a bit cumbersome.
Yeah, no fucking kidding, dude. That part of the game was like fucking the worst thing ever. But no, other than that, I'm like pretty pumped for it. They said they were like they're releasing this one kind of to buy time for a new one that they're making though. Is that the one that it's like the Shadow World one?
The Shadow World one was Twilight Princess, wasn't it?
They're releasing a new one coming up soon that's like Zelda connection to the Shadow World or something. I'll look this up while you talk about the remake real quick.
The HD looks amazing. The fact that you can go faster on the overworld, which was never a problem for me. I never really was too bent out of shape about that. But a lot of people were, so, you know, c'est la vie. I'm really happy with it, and I hope that I hope that it goes well, because it was such a good game.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite Zeldas. So, and I gotta say that usually when I see something that's like HD remake, I'm like not really excited about it because it doesn't look that good. For example, they're making a HD remake of Final Fantasy X that just looks like they like turned the resolution up by like 2 or something like that, and it just looks exactly the fucking same. But that game looks really good. Wind Waker looks like they actually like remade the game almost. So Here's what I found out. So they're making another Zelda for 3DS called A Link Between Worlds.
Oh
and
boy, that's
it's a direct sequel to Link to the Past, apparently, which is another one of the better Zelda games. So we'll see how that one turns out.
I'm just gonna die.
I bet it's going to be really good, and I bet it's going to have some really fucking stupid way to use 3D in it.
Yeah,
Those
no.
are my predictions exactly for that game.
That's the cycle. I keep saying, like, I really love the things that Nintendo does, but then they go around every time I praise them, they fucking bite me in the ass by saying, by doing something that I just can't possibly ever get into, like the fucking gimmicky controls in every single console and fucking handheld. They just won't let go of the uses of those gimmicks. And it just fucking infuriates me. I don't want to blow into the fucking microphone or touch the screen. Give me a goddamn handle, for the love of God.
Yeah, that should be Nintendo's fucking slogan. Great games with the shittiest possible mechanics from our systems ever. Like, everything's got to be 3D, or it's got to have 5 screens on it, or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I guess you weren't really excited about Mario Kart 8, I think is the next one that's coming out. But I just did some reading on that before we started doing this, and it looked pretty good to me. I thought it was pretty funny that they were like going through it, and they're all are like their big new features are like you can be underwater or you can fly or stuff like that. And I was all, oh great, you guys finally updated Mario Kart to be Diddy Kong Racing.
Yeah, good on. I remember Diddy Kong Racing, and I remember WizPig. If they added WizPig into Mario Kart and then added him immediately into Brawl or Smash Brothers,
I would buy a Wii U right now.
yeah, the WizPig add-on.
Yeah, they should just have instead of the Wii Plus controller, they should have for the Wii U. It should just be a giant WizPig that wraps around your fucking bulky Game Gear that distracts you from playing the game.
Yeah, that WizPig would be the greatest controller. I feel the Nintendo Wiz U would be a great thing.
This was something that like surprised me in like a bad way, which is kind of is a link between Microsoft and Nintendo. Is that Microsoft is making a new Killer Instinct for some reason?
Rare.
Yeah, Rare like is the anti-Ubisoft. Like they started out as like the best fucking company ever, and now they're like the worst company of all time.
Yeah.
Like, when is the last time Rare made a good game?
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, that was like 13 years ago. So yeah, Killer Instinct. I actually was a big fan of Killer Instinct back when I was like 13 years old. That was like my favorite fighting game for a long time. But man, it just looks like the fucking shittiest ripoff of like Tekken mixed with Mortal Kombat I've ever seen. I'm so disappointed in Microsoft right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a little look into the fighting game side of things. I feel like fighting games aren't very well represented.
No, it's just I don't understand the move that they did there. There's really no logic to it. Out of all your game IPs, why do they hate like the classic Banjo setup? Why do they hate it?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's money. It's money waiting to happen. It's the classic fucking the classic example of Final Fantasy VII. Like, regardless of whether or not it would be a good game, if they remade Final Fantasy VII, it would make an absurd amount of money.
Yeah, pretty much everyone would buy that game. You're right. I don't know. Maybe they're saving it for the PS5 or the Xbox too.
Yeah, the X Double Bone.
The Double Bone. I gotta register that website right now. xdoublebone.com.
Oh man, yeah. No, I look forward to the X Double Bone. It's the gaming future, my friend.
Yeah, that's the one that you have to pay by the hour to play all your games. You just buy like a license for $20 to play a game, and then every hour you put another $1 into the slot in the front of the X Double Bone to keep playing. Yeah. So, who do you think of the big three was the clear winner this year?
I mean, you can't really say much about this this E3 without talking about Sony. I mean,
yeah.
As much as I love Nintendo and have this weird, strange boner for a lot of their games, even though I know they're gonna be bad in some fucking critically flawed way. It's Sony really stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park. They and took most of Microsoft's dignity with it.
Yeah.
They didn't fuck around, and I mean, granted, they almost certainly had the same designs to make all the same mistakes that Microsoft did. But they were smart enough to wait before saying anything, and it paid off. Because if the situation was reversed, they could have very easily just had been the one like Microsoft is right now, where they're like, okay, so we're gonna focus on social media, and we're gonna not really focus on games, and no used games. Like, they were set up to do that. Oh God, what the? You got me, Map. You got me.
The sounds of Rick dying.
Yeah. Microsoft has come to take my fun. The game's over.
So I think that Nintendo is the big winner. I think that Sony did a great job. I also think that they're getting a lot of props for what would, like, if Microsoft didn't fuck up so bad, would have been just kind of a normal E3 year for them. Like, I mean, I think there's like a lot of watching somebody's ass get so bad that you're just like, wow, that dude who just kicked that dude's ass is such a badass, I can't even believe it. But I mean, it's not like the craziest year that Sony's ever had in their life. I mean, other than their system being better than Microsoft's, like, the only thing they really had going for them was that some of their first person IPs were all right. They didn't like bring back some of the like better ones. And that they had like this crazy, like, huge wave of support from Square Enix for no apparent reason. I mean, Square Enix and Sony are like
BFFs,
blood brothers, but it was kind of like PlayStation 4 is going to be the better system between the two, like, hardcore gaming systems, and also there's a billion Final Fantasy games coming out for it when it comes out. So I don't know if I would call that the greatest showing from Sony. So I'm going to go with Nintendo, which actually did have a pretty fucking amazing showing of like almost all of his IPs coming back at the same time. So
let's not forget some honorable mentions, because everything you said was practically correct. You nailed it. But let's get a shout out for Pikmin. Let's get a shout out for fucking the new Donkey Kong that's coming this way that I'm actually really pumped for.
Yeah.
They did well, and there's really no other way to put it other than to congratulate Nintendo for a good job. I will say this, though, in defense of my earlier support for Sony, I was drunk. No, I think that there's just something really impressive about their ballsy fucking attitude. Now, it's definitely probably not deserved, because I'm sure they're going to do something stupid and fuck everything up. But at the same time, it's just such a fucking sassy ass move to fucking shit all over Microsoft's fucking lunch that, I mean, I just can't help but enjoy the just madcap bullshittery that they've just pulled. That they could actually fucking do it. That they could actually feel like they can get away with saying something so fucking fucked up and not expect somewhere down the line to fucking get it in spades back from fucking Microsoft. There's gonna come a point where, you know, it's gonna be the opposite, where like Microsoft's like, you remember when you said all these things? Well,
yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it actually puts you in like kind of a position where you like have a lot more faith in Sony than I wouldn't call. I think a lot of people want to call PS3 like kind of the weakest of the Sony's like consoles, and that it didn't have any games, stuff like that. I don't think it's quite that bad. I think it did have some pretty cool games that came out for it, but I think that it was one of the weaker like generations for Sony. So it's kind of interesting to see them kind of come back so strong. Like gives you some faith in Sony when they came out of a weak period like that. So maybe they will do something cool in the future. Yeah, I mean, right now, if I had to buy any console, it would probably be a PS4. So
yeah. Well,
all right. Well, I think we can segue awkwardly into the games that are coming out that we are excited for.
Yeah, I died. All right. Um, I've already kind of talked about my games. You go ahead.
Oh, do you want me to go through my list of games? Look at me. All right. So I think I will start off with the weirdest one. This is an Xbox One exclusive by the people who made Deadly Premonition, which is my all-time favorite Xbox 360 game. It was like the fucking weirdest game I've ever seen in my life, but it was so good. It's really hard to describe. It's just like the shittiest ripoff of a mix between Silent Hill and GTA, but it had like the greatest dialogue ever. But they're making a new game called D4, which I think we could probably just link a bunch of these videos in the description of this video.
Yeah.
This game looks fucking absolutely awful. Like the graphics look like they came out for PS2. The premise of it is really stupid. It's just like a horror mystery game, but just because it's made by this company, I'm like so fucking psyched for it. It looks so stupid, but I'm sure it's gonna be really funny. So that's like the only Xbox game that I'm like so excited for. But let's talk about some games that actually look good instead of entertaining. One game that I think you and I are both thought looked pretty good was Tearaway.
Yeah.
So this is a first-party Sony game for the PS Vita, and this is by the development team that made Little Big Planet, which I was never like a huge Little Big Planet fan. I think it was an interesting idea, but I don't think it came out that great.
No.
This game is probably going to be the same way, but I'm just still going to say that I'm excited for it because the graphics are amazing. Basically, it's just like an entire world made out of torn-up paper. It looks like a Double Fine game, like almost exactly like Psychonauts, but with paper instead of really disturbing polygons. So it's going to be interesting to see what it's like. It's a lot like a Little Big Planet where you kind of have some control over world building and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be a good-looking game. Did you have any comments about that bad boy, or did you just think it looked...
I thought it looked really good. I mean, a lot of these games, looking at the trailers, as always, the trailers say nothing about the fucking game. You have, like, 10 seconds of gameplay and no story, or you have, like, a fuck ton of gameplay that's not really interesting in any way, and the story is barely glossed over. There's, like, nothing else in between. There's never any story or anything to get me into, because what I get into games for is the story, but that's not cool.
That was a good description of E3 in general. A lot of really bad trailers. Okay, let's talk about some other games then. One thing that I'm sort of excited for that kind of made me want to buy a Wii U, like right when I saw it, was they're making... This isn't like not new to E3, but they released some trailers and stuff at E3, I think, for... There's a new Xenoblade game coming out. I don't know if you ever played Xenoblade, did you, Rick?
No.
Oh, it's like probably one of the best Wii U games of the year, I guess. I don't know. I don't think Wii U had that many good games this year, but a lot of people like Xenoblade. It's by, I think, who's the team that made this? Let me look this up real quick. Actually, it's first party, so that's cool. It's just like kind of a free-roaming RPG in the style of, I don't know, kind of like a Tales game and kind of mixed with Xenosaga's the same development party. So Xenosaga wasn't a good game, so I probably shouldn't say that as its influence, but this game looks really good. So you should get... You have a Wii U, don't you?
No. I have the Wii.
Oh, okay. Well, then never mind. Don't get that.
I have the big, gay, classic Wii.
Okay. Another game that looked pretty good. This is a PlayStation exclusive. It's called Transistor, and this is by the same company that made Bastion, so that's why I thought it might be good. The actual trailer for it looked kind of weird. Like, it was all centered around, like, weird pop music, and, like, the graphics didn't look quite as good as Bastion, but I have some faith in this company making things that sound really bad to me turn out really well. Like, if you had told me Bastion was like, it's a Diablo clone where an old man talks over everything you do, I would have been like, I never want to play that game. But we'll see. We'll see if this one turns out to be good. I think it's strange that it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive for like a game company that's so small that only has one really big game underneath its belt, but I guess I'll trust them to do what's right.
Not to hurry you up, but I'm probably on my last gig of memory.
Okay.
Space, so.
Talk really fast. I don't know, were there any... I guess I should talk about Rain was the only other good one that looked like really good that won't surprise anyone.
Mm-hmm.
This game looked really cool to me. It's for PS3 for some reason. I don't know why they wouldn't make it for PS4. But it looks like kind of an eco-style game where you're like this little boy stuck in this like kind of weird city that is vaguely, I don't know, like overgrown and abandoned stuff. And I don't know. It just looked like eco to me, which is a game that I really liked, and this game looks just like it. So I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, no, again, all of the games you showed me, because Auntie had shown me some trailers beforehand, all looked really good. I'm always baffled by your ability to root out like these games that I've never heard of, and they're generally pretty good. Meanwhile, I'm just like, oh, the Villager, he's so cool.
Yeah, I always try to find some games that aren't like super hyped up by everybody else, so I can feel special.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Thanks. I don't know. I'll just go through a rundown of some other games I thought looked good. I'm excited for the new Pokemon's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Pikmin 3 looks really good.
Pikmin, yeah.
Yeah.
No Olimar.
No Olimar. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
I'm just reading that, so I've just been looking at screenshots. Evil Within is by Bethesda. I think it's by Bethesda. It's a horror game that's coming out. It looks really good.
Yeah.
And what was there's like one more.
Elder Scrolls Online.
100 for 101 looks really good to me too. Do you see that one?
Yeah, I did.
Like,
that was one of the
Beautiful
trailers. It was basically Beautiful Joe, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's like set in like Pikmin style, beat up big monsters. I don't know. It just looks really good to me. It looks really funny.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the fact that they all formed a giant hand and/or sword.
Yeah.
That was pretty rad. I'm pumped for Elder Scrolls Online. It's gone from a game that I've kind of dreaded to a game that I'm really pumped for, and will probably end up spending all my fucking money on it.
Yeah, I'm glad they finally gave in to everyone's demands and made it first person available.
Yeah. I don't plan on fucking playing much of the actual multiplayer. I just plan on going around the fucking Providences in first person mode.
Yeah. I think we've covered pretty much everything. So
I mean, if not, we can always tack it on to the next Steam roundtable because holy shit, am I out of hard drive space. So,
all right.
Thank
Let's
you.
wrap it up then.
Yeah, thank you for listening in. Thank you for watching me fail at tests repeatedly, and hopefully we've kind of elaborated on the process of this pretty freaking awesome E3 2013.
Yeah, one of the best E3s in recent memory. So thanks for tuning in, guys.
Not bad for an E3 that was held at Best Buy.